able to get up on stage even though I've got admin privs and like,
I think it has to do, I think it might have to do with like who starts the thing.
yeah.
So, yeah, I know. It's annoying. All right, just a minute. We'll let a couple people maybe show up. I've got to share this agenda. And for anybody who is joining and looking at the agenda, there's tabs to it, and it's the very last tab. Hey, turn my camera on.
No. Yep.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever. Good evening to Fury, I think. I think it's nighttime. Another day in paradise, right?
Hell yeah.
I love it. Let's see. So we are, for anybody who is in the audience here, we are live streaming right now on YouTube. So if you come up and speak, just know that this is a recorded space, and you know, we stick to a pretty tight agenda as well. We'll run through some different updates and kind of get started. One of the things that we like to do here too is start off with some opening remarks, and I'd love to be like, oh yeah, this is so fantastic, everything is great. But instead, I'm going to, you know, call us out as a community. And, you know, we had some call to actions last week. I think we made some progress on it. But I also think that, you know, we need to be moving quicker and doing some things with the marketing side of it, of the world, and getting out content. And yeah, I've tried to post a decent amount, but I still think that, you know, we need somebody behind the wheel for the Twitter account. We definitely need you know, things like the transparency report that is included in Fury's proposal. And I also kind of like the idea of having, you know, some sort of gamification of about like marketing bounties. Scotty had shared some ideas with me over the weekend for Dorkfy, and I think some of that could also be replicated for Voy specifically. So I don't know. We'll get into it here in a minute, but we have made a ton of progress. There are updates going out on the daily from each of the different projects that are being worked on and being built out on Voiager, and that is super progressive. But at the same time, you know, we need to be a little bit more coordinated in getting the message out there to people. So, you know, just a call to action on my opening remarks rather than fluffing us up and saying the same thing that I always say, right? So we'll get into the agenda here, and yeah, let's see. The first update is for, and I just saw some updates, and with Zarmi not being here, we can kind of talk about it for him. Yeah, Voy Wallet update. There is Voy Wallet 1.8. It has been updated and is available on both Google Play Store and excuse me, and iOS Apple Store. This includes push notifications, which I think is super useful, especially for things like block rewards, and then potentially things like liquidations for DorkFi, other types of notifications. There's also an experimental feature for on-chain encrypted messaging, which I think is super interesting and very useful as well for folks that might be trying to encrypt their messaging and use their wallets in a more dynamic, private way. Dex swapping in app has also been included in this update too, which I think is another one of those really important features for any wallet. The whole wallet itself is coming together. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to try out some of these new features, but they are pretty sweet. And then also the ability to claim airdrops in app as well. So all things that are very important, and I know Zarmian's been kicking ass and taking names, and really providing game-changing features right within the Voy wallet. The ability to toggle in between Voy and Algorand, I think, is also super innovative, and lets people know that they can use the same wallet and address for both Voy and Algorand. I think, from my perspective and our DorkFi team perspective, I think this is the preferred wallet for folks to be using the application as well. So very important to the ecosystem, and love Zarmian, and keep up the good work if you're watching this at a later date or watching this live right now. Cool. And was there anything else you want to add to that?
No, not really. I like to see the push notifications today. I joked with him about needing USDC values for tokens, but he's hard at work. He's doing really good stuff.
Yeah, and I think there's I have to look again, but are all of the end tokens added with their values as well?
I don't know, but I was going to mention that the one kind of stumbling block for users is probably going to be the claim functionality on that site where you get wrap tokens instead of real tokens.
Mhm.
It just adds a level of kind of complexity to it that it doesn't really need to. So hopefully, eventually, um, there's an integration that basically when you claim it through the app, it would unwrap the tokens like the Void.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think, yeah, the other thing would be to get some of the end tokens values listed as well. I know that end dork is, and I think end unit is as well. So what the end tokens are when you deposit into dorkfi, you get a interest bearing wrapper around your token. Um, and I don't think that all the values are listed right at the moment, but that's another thing we can request as a feature for Zarmian too. So I'll add that as an action item here. Alley and Snowball Dex aggregators. I don't really have a whole lot of updates there. I know that um, last week you were messing around with the Snowball Dex aggregator and providing some feedback. So you know that was one of the action items from last week too. So get out and try Alley and try Snowball Dex aggregator, and you know provide some feedback in the Discord channel that is dedicated to either Alley or the Snowball Decks. This will help Zarmian and Shelly with feature improvements, any bugs that might be out there as well. So I think those are, excuse me, a couple things. I think my cold is coming back, maybe.
Hi, dude, what's up?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Cool. We can jump down to House of Void update. I know Chris is not here right now, and I did not get a chance to. I slept through the builder meeting, so I'm not sure if he provided an update on the builder meeting. If anybody in here was on that builder meeting, feel free to come up and kind of share if you'd like. I know the last thing that I heard from House of Void was that they have. Oh, Chris was not present at it. Okay, cool. Last thing that I had heard from them was that, excuse me, they were using some of the funding that Chris had raised for the project to uh, build out a you know more engaged front end, and he was also you know kind of dialing in the pitch a little bit more and going for some additional funding as well. I think you know I actually haven't been on it in I don't know, let's say a week or so, but I don't think there have been any major updates yet. Last I had heard, there was going to be a push for another big, um, you know, spin to win event. So hopefully we get some news about that that we can share out. I think that would be you know a good thing for us to promote on the Void main account,
Mhm.
just as a group all together. Excuse me. So House of Void update, we went through that one. Dorkfi update, we can talk a little bit about Dorkfi as well. Where do we want to start? We've been hard at work behind the scenes making different updates.
I,
There's going to be a few updates, you know, that are pushed out here fairly soon. One including, you know, a feature for individual markets. So you'll have a little bit more views into each of the individual markets themselves, their utilization, and a few other things. That's coming soon at some point. We've got a couple of other key features that we are working on in the background. I think it's been publicly talked about a little bit, but um, I think we can kind of share some of the ideas around WAD bridging and you know cross-chain functionality between Algorand and Voy. That is also in the works. It's in progress right now um, on our GitHub project management tool. So that's all coming, and a couple of other things that we haven't publicly discussed that we'll be sharing some updates and some news on that front too. Some news around some different features that are coming and being developed, as well as some more information around governance and what governance will entail for the Dork NFT project as well. So some cool things in the near future. And it looks like Zarmian joined. I had gone through, if you want to come up and kind of speak a little bit about Snowball Dex or the Voy wallet update, I did go through and kind of talk about the features. Welcome to join and chat about House of Voy as well. All right, yeah, let's get Zarmian up here. Thanks for joining.
That lazy little shit.
I know.
He's
Sucks, man.
anything but lazy, man. Pumping out the work. Love the update.
There's some fun stuff going on. So yeah, if you gave an update, I don't need to re-update. I think all that stuff is public. It's just a matter of disseminating the information. Um,
Oh
the
shit.
only really fun thing I got to talk about on the developer call this morning, which I think was a lot of fun, which is exciting alpha, is I've been working on making it so that the wallet, and this is not out anywhere except Shelly knows about it and Gov knows about it, but um, making it so that the wallet can work as an air gap signer. So you could have, so basically you would install the app on like an old device, another device that you would turn into airplane mode and would become your hardware wallet. And then it uses QR codes to transmit the data back and forth. So the wallet, when you get a signing request in your wallet, which doesn't have your private keys in it, you like similar to when you're using like a ledger, it shows you a QR code or potentially a series of QR codes that kind of play as a video. And then on the signing device that you're using for doing signing, you tap a button to go to scan the QR codes, and then you scan them, and then it shows you all of the transactions to sign. You click sign, and then it plays another set of QR codes, and then you scan that with your internet connected wallet device, and then that sends the signed transactions back to it, and they get broadcast to the network. So the key stays on the air gap. It's hard to explain this process, but the key stays on this device in airplane mode and never has to touch the internet. And that's the cool thing about the concept behind it. And there's nothing really special to make that happen. So it can be, I was talking to Ludo on the developer call this morning, like there is potential to turn it into a standard. So any wallet could potentially, interact, you could use disparate wallets, like Parawallet could incorporate this as a signing mechanism, and
Right.
then Oi Wallet could do the signing for it, that kind of thing.
That's huge.
So
Yeah, that is huge. I think
I just think
there's definitely a need for, more security in that way. Especially, with Ledger and Trezor and all the fun things that go along with it. Rather than that, you can just use your old phone as your
exactly. So
hardware.
instead of paying, $250 for a ledger or whatever it costs, like you can use an old device, or you could buy a $30, you know, device from like Android phone from Walmart that you don't use as a phone. You just keep it in airplane mode. You can generate the account on the device, so the keys never have to be connected to the internet.
Mm,
There is some procedural stuff to that. Like you could potentially turn off airplane mode, and now you could end up, using it wrong, and
right.
but for the in an unintended way. But that's the idea behind it. And so I worked out the essentially the proof of concept of it and the initial building of it into the wallet yesterday, and I'm still just kind of polishing it. So it'll probably be a couple of weeks, I think, before I have something that is usable, but it does work, which is cool.
You're polishing it, huh?
Damn it.
Nice.
You have to be so careful about what words you say on this meeting.
Hey, so we complained about two things before you got here. Let me read them to you. Number one, when I click a claim button in Voya Wallet, it gives me wrap tokens, which is not your fault, but could be your fault if you were wanting to like unwrap them before they get to the person. And the second thing we talked about was ensuring that the various wrap tokens that exist, specifically like on Dorkfy, I guess, because we do have a decent number of them, would display like dollar values or values associated with them for the wallet. So just put that on your short list of things that you're working on and get those done by next week. Okay.
Yeah. For the wrap tokens, that's a good. I have some questions about that. Some tokens are natively or naturally the ARC200 format. Like that is how they're created, and that's how they're meant to be seen. And then some tokens are the ASA format, and that's how they're meant to be seen. Like I would say USDC is a good example of an ASA native token. Is WAD an ASA native token? Is that how you see it in its unwrapped form?
Uh, I thought it was. I thought it was native to the version on Voy. I thought it was ARC 200, but
I think it is too. So what token are you claiming that you're getting in a?
like when we try to claim Voy as an airdrop, it claims as dork, and and like
Oh, I see. Is that where
yeah,
the Endork is coming from?
yeah. But like here's like a general thought that I had because I know that you've been working on something that is like specific to kind of unwrapping tokens. And that integration would be really cool inside of the wallet if you kind of get to that point. Um, if you identify tokens as wrapped that could or should be unwrapped, potentially you could even have like a slider in your wallet that like you unwrap things that aren't supposed to be there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe
I'll
there's a little animation. Not, I'm just thinking out of my mind. The unwrapping a gift, right?
Little snowball that goes across and gets smaller. Ooh, look at that.
Uh,
man.
but yeah, unit or I'm sorry, WAD is ARC 200.
Okay, so that one's working correctly, but it's Voy.
Yep.
I'll
And
need I'll need to have Shelly send me some Voy to claim so they can see it, so that I can see what's happening. But yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. I
Yeah,
just need to.
we were just talking about like basically things that were like would be nice to have for the wallet.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
since it's kind of like a small list right now, maybe it would set up, well for like adding complexities in the future. So no,
Yeah.
it's not like actually we're not. I'm joking about it being a complaint, but it is something that could be good.
Yeah. And I think for the end tokens, it's just when they're deposited into Dorkfy, I think there's just the excuse me, the values don't all not all of the tokens values actually appear to
Mhm.
be shown in the wallet itself. So it's just
Yeah, I
like
am
the
working on that, but I think the values are kind of dynamic, aren't they? Like they are
yeah,
changing in value at a different rate than the underlying asset.
that's right.
So
Yeah.
I want to fix that before we expand that too much. Like
Sweet.
figure out how you're calculating the values. I'll probably need to. I'll discuss that with Shelly and figure out how he's doing that.
Sounds good. Awesome. Do you have any other updates on Snowball or House of Boy?
Snowball, I'm working on figuring out the errors that people are having, like that, and I'm able to repeat some of the errors, but they're tricky. So I know there's some. I feel like reliability is an issue right now, but that's why I gave it that beta label.
Mhm.
Um, Other than that, Not really. Not too many changes on that in the last couple weeks. Um, and then House of Oi is bumping along. The designers are currently working on the designs, and then I'm going to start implementing them. So there's progress being made. There's just not a lot to show yet.
When are you going to let me know about sizing of things so that I can start working on a dork version of a slot machine?
I will let you know as soon as I know
Okay.
Hmm.
the sizing of things.
Yeah, I want because the size is really going to be important.
But I've heard it matters a lot.
Yep.
It's all about the motion in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
That and animated images for these new slot machines are going to be very important.
This is true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see it, and definitely looking forward to, um, you know, whenever the next big push is for an event. I
Yeah.
thought that was a super fun event the last time that it was done, and looking forward to seeing kind of all the progress that's being made as well. I'm not sure. Are you guys still working on like a kind of simple referral system?
Yeah. So um, we are. So it
Sweet.
basically you get, you know, I think some of the mechanics of how the referrals, like how you are able to create referrals, needs to be we need to kind of work out the details on, but um, you'll basically be able to have like referral links and referral codes that you can give out, and then people who register with that referral code get assigned to you or become it's almost like an MLM in a way, then you gain from them. But also something we want to do is allow you to refer somebody and give them Voy to play with, and then potentially earn from what they if they win anything. Like if they blow it all, then they blow it all. But if they win something, like you could potentially earn from their winnings. So you're basically like creating, kind of like agents to do your gambling for you.
Mm, I love it.
And then when they deposit and they play more, then you earn off of their volume. So it kind of incentivizes you to, attract people to it.
Many existing sites, by the way, will just they'll match, and if you
Hmm.
come under somebody's code, they will match your initial deposit to
Yeah.
kind of incentivize that. So something to consider.
Yeah, I definitely want to do that.
Yeah, and I've seen other things where there's like point systems that also, have a loose promise of future token airdrop. I don't know if you guys are gonna push out a token for House of Void to other than the Void token, but um,
Yeah, there's a plan for an HOV token, although not to be used for playing. I
mm,
think primary currency for playing will probably end up being USDC
yeah,
because it, makes it's easier for people to wrap their heads around.
totally. And I know we've had some discussions with Chris and internally on the Dorkfy team about a WAD machine as well.
Mhm. Yep.
So
So
there's
he's definitely on board for that.
that's in
That's
the
come up.
works.
Yeah, that's come up a few times. So definitely.
Definitely excited about that. I think more usage for WAD is super helpful for us in the broader ecosystem. Getting that distributed out and you know giving it some more utility, I think is exciting for us and anybody in the ecosystem.
Agreed. I'm on board.
Sweet. Let's see.
Awesome.
Anything else any other alpha that you want to share, or anything else that you're toying around with that's not on the communication updates and announcements?
No, but I do want to point out that the deck, if you're using Voy Wallet, the decks and the messaging, which um, well, first off, there's DEX and there's encrypted messaging built into it. Um, they are both under the settings menu under an experimental features menu. So you have to go to settings, experimental features, and then you can enable those. And as far as the messaging is concerned, it is a very experimental feature in the sense that it's more like just a research project is the way I want to talk about it, because there are some definite issues with it. Like I wouldn't use it for anything highly sensitive because like in theory eventually, like if things are indefinite on chain, the message is encrypted and put into a transaction note, but someday 100 years from now it might be possible to decrypt that message. So if you have something truly sensitive, it's really not meant for that. It's more just a proof of concept to see how this would work and to try to potentially build upon it. So that's why, but I think it's neat and I think it functions and it's kind of cool. And I want to add I have other things I want to do with it, it's not necessarily meant for encrypted communication. We have lots of encrypted communication apps that are better in my opinion. You could use Signal for that. Um, but I have other features I want to add to it that I think would be useful. So that's the
Totally. And the the big meta that in the crypto space recently has been privacy and privacy features and functionalities. And it's kind of in line with that, probably as like a early concept that maybe you can start to send more private style transactions. I know one community member, I'm not going to name them, but you guys might know if they've approached you about it. But they're working on kind of like a privacy tool that allows for kind of tornado cash style functionality.
Yeah, that would
I
be
don't know
cool.
when it's going to be ready yet, but if you haven't heard about this, Zarmian, I'll message you about it.
Yeah, I haven't, so yeah, that'd be
Cool.
great.
We also talked about how great it would be if everybody in North Korea began using your encrypted messages on your app. Think of the advertising.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right itself.
But yeah, I think the person that's working on this privacy thing has been working on it for quite some time, and I think he's got a full-time job and wants a very prominent community member. There's not very many many of us that are super prominent, but yeah, I'll send you a message about it
Cool.
because I think it might make sense to. I don't know how, but take some elements of what he's working on and integrate it with the wallet or integrate it with DoorFi somehow. I'm not exactly sure. I think he's pretty close on completing the thing, but he's also being very private about it, of course.
Okay.
Cool. Let's see here. Anything else?
No, I don't think I have anything else.
Cool. We'll I'm gonna add it some more social media activity and about the Void wallet updates because I think that they're super powerful and definitely need to get the messaging out to people that they're in the some of the features are in the experimental feature um, settings. So super excited about it, man.
Yeah, I feel like that's relevant to like, you know, someone coming up on joining a space or something when you guys are
Totally.
hosting and asking like, oh, I don't see the how to swap tokens, or it'd be great if the wallet would allow you to swap tokens. Like
Yeah.
that's the reason they're not seeing it.
Is that and from the experimental feature part, is that like one of the requirements from like Apple Store and
No, but I decided to try it. Um, I didn't really want those things up front and center, especially because I know like swapping will give you errors sometimes because ball swap
Yeah.
needs some work. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to put it under experimental features, but I also was curious if by doing that Apple would be more likely to approve it. And I mean, they did approve it, so
Sweet.
which surprised me. I honestly was expecting it to get rejected, but at least to have like some feedback that I could use as part of the rejection. So um, so yeah, though it seemed to be enough because I think if it was front and center, they'd be asking, what you know, about information about the dexes and things like that, which I'll expect when I get it out of experimental features, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's one of those things you got to get by the gatekeepers somehow,
Yeah,
right?
so that was exciting to get them both have feature parity on both um, operating systems. So this is like a nice milestone.
That's awesome. Fantastic. Cool. And have you been getting enough feedback from folks too on, I know,
Yeah, actually, pretty good, good number of people reaching out on all different channels. So I've got, some errors and stuff that I want to work through. I've got some suggestions of changes or bugs that were found that I've either worked on or have fixed or are ready to be pushed out, in the next batch of updates. But yeah, the feedback's been really good.
awesome.
I appreciate that from everybody that reaches out.
Sweet. Fantastic. We can jump down here to the next updates. I know Humble Swap, there have been some more updates on Humble Swap as well. Go and check them out if you have a chance. I know that the pools and the pairings have been updated. The other really cool, interesting thing about Humble Swap is now the incentive program is paying out in WAD. So you're getting US dollar stablecoin distributed rather than just direct VOI. So I think that that is, yeah, something that everybody can appreciate. And, anybody who's out there looking for opportunities uh, to, gain additional yield, it's a really great place to do it. I know, it'd be kind of cool to see Nomadex do something similar, but I know that this is an innovation that Shelley's kind of come up with, and it requires some upfront stake and taking out a WAD loan in order to get it done, unless you've purchased a bunch of WAD on the side market or something, open market, I should say. So for anybody who's looking for additional yield and wants yield in US dollar denominated stablecoin, check out Humble Swap. I like it. Getting dripped out WAD, and hopefully over time it'll pay back my WAD loans. Oh man. Cool. And Shelly, feel free to jump up here if you want to talk about anything else on the Humble Swap updates. If not, no big deal. We'll move on to Airmid. I know we don't have Daniel here.
I messaged him, and he said that he was going to try to join before we're over.
Okay.
And he said he was getting out of the dentist or something. So I guess we'll see if he makes it.
Sounds good. And yeah, it was very interesting council meeting. Went into a lot of depth on Airmid, and the grant pay tool is ready to be used for that grant. I'm not sure. I haven't sent anything over to. Oh, we got Ness. that wants to come up, but I haven't sent anything over to see, is he up here? There he is. Anything over to Gov just yet, because there was a pretty heated discussion about, you know, the lack of attention that's been going into Aramid's Discord. There's a whole bunch of scammers running around. It sounds like they've got a new person maybe that is running their
Yeah,
Discord customer service, but
two people were added, Easy K and someone whose name starts with an E. Um, I went in and I've continued to ban, like I still have ban privileges, so I've been banning people that I see who are definitely opening up improper messages. And I also reminded people that the only people in here who are team members have light blue names, and they also shut the ability for people to create these like weird public threads in the support channel. So yeah, I didn't even know it was going on. So I'm glad somebody brought it to our attention. But I have to say, at least at least Daniel, you know, acted on it fairly quickly and like started getting those things situated. But it's been going on for quite a while.
totally, and I think it just goes to show that there's room for competition in the bridge space. It'd be pretty cool to have a bridge directly in excuse me, directly in a Void wallet potentially. Future request. Uh, that yeah, and then update too that I can provide. I was gonna leave it for open discussion, but yeah, been communicating a little bit with the OX Labs team as well, and let them know that we're interested in um, other bridges that may be in existence already that would integrate um, their bridge system with Voy, and also interested in some additional on and off ramp type features. So if they have any projects or any projects come into their fold that are looking to or that do build those types of things, um, you know, I, that's something that we would potentially entertain for future proposals. Not to say that iBuyVoy isn't a fantastic on ramp, but it would be nice to have some additional on and off ramps and bridges. I think overall for
Yeah,
the ecosystem.
I mean, the problem with iBuyVoy is that it is dependent on Aramid. And it's actually like the same reason I was going to, or had plans and still have plans to integrate Aramid directly into the wallet, but reliability is the problem. And because failed transactions have to be manually dealt with. Like if they added a few key things like automatically reversing failed transactions, um, when they expire um, and improve the reliability, then it wouldn't be an issue. But that's part of why I haven't really done any more from where I'm at. Um, I agree. We either need to improve reliability or we need competition that can
Mhm.
provide some level of redundancy.
Now, I'm just going to throw a scenario out there. In a world where, there was another developer on hand that might be interested in building something like this on behalf, or like just basically copy pasta, not exactly copy pasta, but use open source uh, tooling for building a bridge inside of the Void wallet. Would you be open to working with them?
I mean, the bridge itself wouldn't be in the wallet. It would be like a matter of the infrastructure that the wallet would interact with. But
Mm.
yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, because I mean, it's something that is a need for the entire ecosystem. So I think getting some more competition going in the bridge side of things, and helping with the reliability, and obviously it'd be nice to have the existing teams that are working on it, the airman team there, pay a little closer attention to the Discord and pay a little closer attention to some of these feature requests, which ultimately could, help bring them more business, would be the ideal scenario.
Yeah, and
But
I honestly think the biggest problem Airmid has, if I understand it correctly, and I don't, I don't know all the technical details, but if I'm understanding correctly, the biggest problem they have is that basically all of the infrastructure and the soldiers are being operated, essentially by Ludo, I think. So if something goes wrong, there aren't enough validators to validate the transactions to bridge.
Mhm.
And and so and I believe the reason for that is because it costs it seems to cost a surprising amount from what Wilder was saying, months ago, or what I overheard Wilder saying months ago, if I understood that correctly. It costs a lot to run a soldier, and I just think that implementation might be flawed if that's the case. So I don't know if someone will be able to pick up the open source code and run their own, Aramid. Um, but there are definitely ways to do bridging. It's just it's not the it is like one of the most highly targeted applications because it's holding a lot of funds. So it's not something that can be done lately.
Mhm.
Only problem.
Yeah, yeah, it's a honeypot.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Hey,
finding
I had a
somebody kind of take on that risk is, you know, difficult probably.
had a
But if we,
question about. Oop,
oh, go
did
ahead.
you catch that? Oh, so with so many tokens involved with the Aramid, um, what what kind of position would we be in if Aramid just pulled out and said, the heck with you guys, we're out. So with all our tokens that we got wrapped.
If they just shut it down, it would be a nightmare. Um, if they gave some heads up and you could bridge back, that wouldn't be that big of a deal. But it would definitely, Voy would essentially collapse. Not that it hasn't, but like it would make things. Um, I think speculation would be bad on the network itself to not have a bridge and to not have a way out. So people would be mostly wanting to get their tokens out of Voy because there would be no connection to the outside world. So I mean, that's one of the reasons to have redundancy, to have another bridge option, because at least in the worst case you could bridge, like if you had a bunch of AUSDC, you could bridge that to Algorand and then bridge it back, under it would be a different wrap token essentially is what would happen. And it would be a different bridged token, but you'd be like it would be able to be bridged back to USDC at any point. And that's really all you need. You basically need a USDC equivalent that can be bridged back and forth, and I think you can pretty much do everything else off of that. But I don't know. That's my opinion.
So we should probably make it a priority to come up with another bridge just so we don't get burnt.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, I'll go down the rabbit hole here with OX Labs to see if they've got any teams that they're currently working with that have a working bridge elsewhere, and figure out if they're open to doing some work on integrating that bridge, with Voy in this ecosystem, because I think that would probably be the maybe easiest way to go about things rather than having somebody from scratch, build a whole new ecosystem project.
I mean, and the other solution, if other than bridging, is to have you need some way to the outside world. So it would be to get on another centralized exchange. Because if the Voy token is on a centralized exchange, now you have the ability to transfer back and forth and to on and off ramp, and to if you can transfer Voy to, you know, let's say it was Coinbase. If you could transfer Voy to Coinbase, then you could convert that to something, and you could transfer it into whatever network, and you could do the opposite. You could take USDC and convert it into Voy on the centralized exchange and get that to the network. But that is, you need some connection to the outside world. Without that, you're kind of screwed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe, yeah, the whole wormhole thing. Also, I don't know where things are at with it on the Algorand side, but maybe there's a way to use some of that tooling. Well, we can kind of sideline that for now. Let's talk quickly. I know we've probably got 10, 15 minutes left, but quickly about social media manager management proposals. It sounds to me like the Coop proposal is going to get voted no, just for sheer price and not being able to really get a hold of him. And then I know that Fury's got a proposal out there as well, and I think Fury may have made some updates and some changes to the proposal. I'm not sure. He was talking about it during the council meeting previously. And Fury, feel free to come up if you want to kind of talk a little bit about the vision and what it all entails. But from my understanding, it is engagement and visibility lift. So part of it is taking on some of the messaging. And I know that in the council meeting, there was like, hey, let's just push this thing off to like next year, to get something done. I know that we are, 20 days away from next year, and 20 every day that we go without having, a kind of somebody running that account and putting out, transparency reports and things that could be done to enhance our visibility is a missed opportunity, in my opinion. And I kind of opened up the opened up the meeting with that, and I hate seeing, as a community member, and as this committee lead, I really hate seeing us kick the can down the road on this one. I don't like it. I think we need to make a decision. We need to put somebody, in charge of doing these things, even if it is on an interim, 90-day rolling basis or something. If that's added into this, it's better than nothing, and it needs to get taken care of, guys. Seriously, that's just my thoughts. I wasn't going to come up and poo-poo your council meeting, but I just think it needs to be addressed. Fury, welcome. Yeah.
I like that. I like that better. Starting out a little bit lower is a much easier ask for the council, and especially if it's on like a 1 month kind of agreement where we can look after 1 month, say, yeah, it looks good, keep going. 2 months looks good, keep going. 3 months looks good, keep going. And then, like, by that point, maybe we've got some good numbers and we can say, you know what, we think you're doing a great job, 10% raise, you know? I mean, that kind of thing is within the bounds of our budget and also like what makes like normal sense to us. So I'm more on board with that kind of thing. I have to say, and we'll have to see as like the numbers start to go up or whatever. But I like some of the extra effort we've done, including, frankly, the broadcasting of meetings and stuff like that. I don't think Bagman and I talked about it briefly, but I don't think we're ever going to get a lot of really great clips out of that we can just use in various areas. I don't know who the hell's watching it. Probably nobody. I mean, maybe a few people.
I think
Uh,
it's just like Scotty.
yeah, I mean, it maybe it's good kind of in the future as like this, sign of life kind of thing. But like the cost and the time cost of doing a lot of the stuff that we're doing, I would just as soon strip out until later on when things are better and focus the finances on kind of core functionality like getting messaging out on X and ensuring that like I mean the basic stuff like moderation and stuff like that too, just making sure the moderators know what's going on, and even taking time to kind of learn about what's going on. I mean those to me are the core things, and if we can be paying for that kind of like on a month to month basis where we have not just like metrics but like a good feel that we're actually like reaching people and stuff like that. I think we'd be much more inclined to vote yes on that and move on it very quickly. The challenge, I mean, over the past several weeks, I can tell you that I've posted from the X account maybe, well, posted from it a handful of times, but reposted maybe 30 things, and I don't get the sense that we're really like reaching a lot of additional people. And so one thing, yeah, it's one thing that sure. Yeah. Yeah, I like all that stuff. I mean, and hopefully, yeah, we do see some, authentic, interested users from the outreach, because, the one thing that we learned in testnet was you can get a lot of eyes on something and then have none of them convert into actual like quality community members. And so, like hopefully all of this stuff in concert will be something that like brings us, good people who want to stick around and do things. So I like all that. Again, I'm not complaining about what your plan is. I'm glad to hear more about it. My whole thing is we need to start off in some way that's small and then build into it so that the network can actually support it. We've had conversations in the past about the price impact that even paying out $1,000 has on the total price of Voy as people sell it. And from like the coop one, who's a great guy and he'd have good reach and all that kind of stuff. I just don't see how the network can afford to spend like the entirety of our USDC lock, on marketing, like on a marketing commitment that's a long one when we don't really know if we're going to have, the kind of reach that brings us additional investment. So starting out small, having some kind of a thing, I think it's fine. I think, that would be a great way to do it. Sure. Cool. Well, I'll look for that proposal if you updated it, and I will share it in the council chat, and maybe we can have a quick discussion about it and make some kind of a decision. Um, so,
Sweet.
well, we're pretty much done. Daniel didn't make it, but I'll talk to him later. Zarmian is ignoring me in his DMs, and so I guess that's it.
Cool. We can adjourn this meeting unless anybody has anything else that they wanna bring up on this call.
Zarmian.
No, I didn't realize you DM'd me. I'll respond.
All right, thank you, sir.
Cool. We'll catch you guys all next week.
All right, see you.